y'all, I'm Kara Perez, founder of Bravely Go, and today we are going to talk about starting to invest in your 40s. A lot of the investing advice out there is aimed at younger people, starting at 18, starting at 20, starting at 25, and I'm really glad those resources exist. But what if that's not you? What if you are older than 25? What if you didn't have the money or the knowledge to start investing until you were in your 40s? That's what we're going to talk about today, an investing strategy for people who are 40 plus years old. And if you dig that and this sounds like your jam, please consider becoming a patron. Our patrons get exclusive content that you cannot find anywhere else on the internet. They also get things like event discounts and the chance to talk to me one-on-one privately. So if that sounds like your jam, and if you support what we do here on this channel and elsewhere on the internet, please, please, please consider becoming a patron and supporting the channel. Let's start with the biggest question that I get from people who are a little bit older. Should you even start investing in your 40s? Does it even matter, or is it too late? This is the question that I get a lot, especially on Instagram. People are sliding into my DMs and saying, I'm 40, I'm 41, I'm 35. Is it too late? Have I already ruined my financial life? And the answer is simply no. It is not too late. Consider this. Most people in the United States retire somewhere in their mid-60s, okay? Between 66, 67, 65, somewhere in that range is when most Americans are retiring. If you're 40 right now and you want to retire at 67, how many years is that? Quick math. That is 27 years. That's nearly 3 decades. That is a huge amount of time that you have to build wealth for yourself. And it's my opinion that we, in large part because of social media, have built up these unrealistic expectations for what wealth building looks like in 2024, when the reality is that most people are not millionaires by 25. Most people are not owning 3 houses and have $5 million in the bank by the time they're 37. We can see how other people, including the hyper wealthy, like, the Bezoses and the Musks, but even people who are just sharing their lives that are a little bit more normal, and we compare ourselves to them and we think, why don't I live in Portugal? Why don't I have $2 million? Why don't I drive a really fancy car? Insert fancy car name here. And really, I want us to zoom out for a second and think about it this way. Like, if you can run a 7-minute mile, you run a pretty fast mile, right? And you're gonna feel really good about that until you start comparing yourself to the person who can run a 4-minute mile. But actually, if you zoom out and you say, wait a second, 7 minutes is very good. 7 minutes is something I've worked really hard for. 7 minutes is something not a lot of other people can do. 7 minutes is something that I should definitely have 2 thumbs up, 10 out of 10. I feel great about this. Ignore the people that are making you feel bad. Ignore the people that are bringing you down and focus on what is right for you and your money. And also consider this. If by 40 you have paid off your student loans, you have no credit card debt, maybe you have bought an asset like a house, you have done really good things for your financial life. Maybe you haven't started investing yet, but that does not mean you've been sleeping for the first 40 years of your life. You've done other really wonderful things for your financial picture, and those should be applauded. The next step is just to add in investing. And the truth is, most Americans start investing later in life. That is the most common path to investing, later in life. Here are the median retirement savings for different age groups in the US. As you can see, people ages 35 to 44 have $60,000 for retirement. So if you are just starting with $0 at age 40, you are not far behind. Most 40-year-olds in the United States have around $30,000 earmarked specifically for retirement. And Americans start investing later in life in general because living in the United States is expensive. On top of that, most of the most expensive decisions that you will make happen between age 20 and 35 in the United States. In this 15 years is when most people are going to college. It's when most people are getting married. It's when most people are having children. It's when most people are buying houses. And those are all very expensive decisions. So if you're doing all of these things, you probably don't have a ton of money to put towards the stock market until your 40s. That's very normal. So instead of beating ourselves up, let's talk about the action steps that you can take now that you're in your 40s and beginning to get really focused on your retirement. Here is a 5-point plan for investing at 40 plus. Now, for this investment plan, we are assuming a traditional retirement age of 65. If you're interested in leaving work earlier than that, you're gonna need to work with different numbers. And if you are interested in leaving work later than that, again, you'll be working with different numbers. For this calculation, we are using age 65. Now, like I said, this is a 5-part plan, but I want to put a little disclaimer up here at the top before I get into the actual steps. Investing is the #1 financial priority by the time you hit 40. If you are watching this video and you're thinking, oh, I'll postpone investing by a couple more years because I want to help kids with college or I want to upgrade the car, hear me when I say that investing is the #1 priority. Your kids have time on their side, okay? They can take out grants for school, they can take out loans, they can get scholarships, they can find ways to pay for college. You cannot take out a loan for retirement. It does not exist. So your investing plan has got to become the priority in your financial life. And how do we start investing? We start investing by having a money management plan. We need to know what's coming in and what's going out so that we can find an amount of money to put towards our investment strategy. Which means that our first step in investing at 40 is actually to have a budget. Sit down with your credit card, your debit card, any loans that you have, any accounts that you already have, and review your money. What's coming in? How much do you get paid from your main job? How much do you get paid from your side gig? Do you have a partner? How much money are they making? Then look at your expenses. What area are needs? What area are wants? Are either of these areas, do any of them have anything that's negotiable? Do you make a lot of money and you just need to organize it? Do you need to earn more money? What do the numbers tell you? And I will quote Jay-Z here because he really hit the nail on the head with this one. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. All of these are questions that you can answer via budgeting. Now, I also want to put a disclaimer on here because a lot of us have a difficult time looking at our budgets because of the emotions behind it. If you have $5,000 in credit card debt, it's very easy to feel shame or embarrassment around that and to ask yourself, like, why did you buy those things? You were so dumb to do that. If only we could go back and make different decisions. But I always tell people hindsight is 20/20, and you probably did the best that you could at the time with the information that you had. It's very easy and very common, I would say, when we're younger to think, I'm gonna live forever and I'll figure this out later. Okay, I definitely felt that, and in some cases still feel that at 35. And so please give yourself some grace when you're looking at this. Don't sit down and begin yelling at yourself because that's going to demotivate you. And when it comes to putting together your investing plan in your 40s, we are looking for all the motivation that we can find. If you need help budgeting, we have a values-based budget workbook in the link at the description, and that helps you get organized around your cash flow and build a budget that emphasizes your values. This workbook is all about building a budget that works for your life. The second most important part of building your investment plan in your 40s is taking advantage of your workplace plan. If you have a company 401k, if you have a 403b or a 457 or a SEP IRA that is offered to you through work, take them up on it. Now, a lot of people don't have this option, and I'm going to talk about that next. But if you do have this and you simply have not been putting any money in it because you've been saying, oh, I need the money elsewhere in my life, it's time to reclaim some of that money and put it in the workplace plan. So even if it's small, even if it starts with $20 a month, put that money away. The great thing about a workplace retirement plan is that your workplace manages it. So they are going to take the contribution directly out of your paycheck. It's never going to hit your bank account. It's not going to go from, let's say you work at Sally's Scarves to your bank account and then over to the 401k. You're never going to see it. It's going to go directly from Sally's Scarves to the 401k. So it's not going to impact what you have to budget every single month, right? And I think that is a huge load off of the shoulders for a lot of people. It took me a second to think of that phrase because it just goes straight in there. You never even see it. And if your company offers a workplace match, which is where they say, hey, if you put in 3% of your salary, we will put in an additional 3%, you need to be taking advantage of that in your 40s. That is a minimum of what you need to be doing for your investments. That is free money. It's part of your compensation. It's one of the benefits that goes along with you being hired by that company. So take advantage of it and have your company contribute to your retirement. Step 3 in investing at 40 plus is to open an IRA. And this is an account that is specific for retirement that is available to anyone. Something like a 403b or a 401k, those are workplace plans only. So if your company doesn't offer one, you're SOL. However, an IRA is something that is available to anyone. It is tied to your Social Security. Or if you're not a full citizen and you are a legal resident, you can also open an IRA. So this one goes out to all of my first gen kids who are freaking out about being their parents' retirement plan. Help your parents open an IRA and then get you one for yourself. Now, IRAs do have significantly lower contribution limits. For 2024, the max amount of money you can put into an IRA is $7,000 for the year. Whereas if you have a 403b or a 401k, the max amount that you can contribute is $23,000. So it's obviously a huge gap there. And frankly, I don't know why that gap exists. I don't know why the IRA limit is so much lower. Take it up with the IRS, but it is a fantastic account to have either in addition to your workplace plan or on its own if you don't have a workplace plan. Having these additional accounts helps increase the total amount of money that you can be investing annually, which is super duper helpful when you are starting in your 40s. If you can put $23,000 into your 401k and $7,000 into your IRA, that's $30,000 a year, baby. That's a lot of money that you are investing all of a sudden. Don't freak out if you can't do that. If you put $3,000 in your IRA and $2,000 in your 401k, that's also still a ton of money, and you should be very, very proud of that. We have an investing course called How to Not Die Broke that has a step-by-step guide to help you open an IRA if that's something that you want to add into your financial life today. 4 for investing in your 40s is to secure your housing. This is a step that a lot of people skip over when they think about their retirement planning. People just don't focus on it as much as I think they should. Stable housing is crucial to a stable retirement. You can rent or you can own. I'm not advocating for either one, but what you want is a secure place where you can live. So take an hour and answer these questions. Do you plan to stay in your current location, whether that's the actual physical building or the city or state that you're currently in? Do you plan to move? If so, where? What does housing look like there? Are they in a housing crunch? Is housing more expensive than where you currently are? Is it less expensive? And what is the difference? How much space do you need or want? Are you open to living with other people, like a roommate or a family member? Getting really clear on these answers is so important because housing is usually the biggest line in anyone's budget. So if you can decrease your housing needs in the future, that's more money that you can put into accumulating assets, aka investing. It's also important to answer these questions because it leads very nicely into step 5, which is talking to the people in your life about money. Talk to your partner, talk to your kids, talk to your friends and your parents, talk to the people in your life whose money either impacts you or who your money impacts. If you have a partner and you live together and you share money and you want to move to Florida and they don't know that you want to move to Florida, that's a conversation you need to have. And you need to find some sort of middle ground, or you need to get them on board for Florida. But you can't just up and go and take half of their rent payment with you. You know what I'm saying? You also need to have conversations about longer term plans. If, for example, you want to live with your children after you retire, you need to have that conversation with your children. Are you going to move into the spare bedroom? Do you want everyone to move into a bigger house? Do you want to add an in-law apartment to their house? What does that look like? What are the costs associated with that? Do you and 3 friends want to finally go start that commune in Montana? Okay, what part of Montana? What are the costs associated with that? Having conversations now in your 40s about what you want in retirement is going to make that A, more realistic because you have time to put that plan into place, and B, it's going to make it easier if it involves other people. Something that I see a lot in the work that I do with people one-on-one is adult children in their 30s and 40s being told by parents in their 60s and 70s, oh, I have this financial expectation for you. And the kid hasn't had enough time to come up with that money or to come up with the resources needed. And now it puts a strain on everybody. Let me know in the comments if you want a video about how to talk to family, especially if there are kind of cultural expectations or first-gen expectations about money, because this is something I think about a lot in my own life. And it's also something that affects millions of people, okay? We are a nation of immigrants, and we are also a nation of diverse cultural expectations. So money can get caught up in both of those things very easily. That is our plan for investing in your 40s. Talk to me in the comments if you have questions, comments, concerns. I am here for y'all. Thank you as always for watching. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to hit subscribe. Send this to somebody who needs to see it, and make sure to come back every other Monday for new videos.